Are you in the middle of planning your children's homeschool year and maybe you're feeling a bit stuck, a lot of overwhelm, or maybe you're double guessing your decisions and what it is that you are selecting for curriculum? If that's the case, I'd love to invite you to today's show. I'm Dollie Freeman, and I am here to equip homeschooling moms who are ready to influence their children with wholesome ideas while being sure that they are providing a ration of knowledge that will provide them an education fit for adulthood. So, if you are excited about today, I'm excited to be here as well. I'm going to be talking to you about 3 planning mistakes and what you should be doing instead. This is going to be a big topic, one you're going to want to grab your pencil and pen for, and tag a friend that is homeschooling that you know would be benefited by today's topic. Because let's be honest, we really need each other to help us through the struggles of planning. So, if you're ready, I am going to go ahead and jump into today's topic. So, the 3 planning mistakes. Now, I hope I don't step on your toes, but let me tell you, I've been homeschooling for 22 years. I am planning our 23rd year. So, I know a thing or two about planning. I have tried it all. We have done various things, and I will tell you, I know what works best for the best results. And if you were trying to plan for progress this coming homeschooling year, you would do real well to listen to what I'm about to say, because it is within these 3 mistakes that's holding back your progress. So let's get started by going through the number one mistake. It's assigning things your children can't do with confidence or with perfect execution. What I mean by that is, if your children are looking at what you're assigning as too new for them or too difficult, then I want to encourage you to take a step back and do this instead. I want you to identify your children's confidence baseline. What I mean by confidence baseline is, what is it that they can do completely independent, where they know they're going to do it the right way and be able to have it done in the right amount of time with perfect execution, meaning that they've given their best effort, meaning that they're not going through an entire math lesson and getting the majority of them wrong. Instead, they're going to go through that entire math lesson and get it all right. So, if you're planning with this mindset of moving your child through one grade after the next and promoting them because their age and culture tells us that they should be in this grade, I want you to take a step back. I want you to breathe a bit, and I want you to hear me when I say this. Pushing your child just because of their age and culture is going to hurt your child long term, because there are stages of transition in all the mechanics of learning. Those are the reading, writing, arithmetic, and thinking, that we need to make sure that our children have confidence, number one, and that they're able to implement it with perfect execution, so that when we give them their assignments, even if it's new or even if it's difficult, we can be there alongside them, ensuring that they're learning it the right way so they can grow to fruitful purpose. Now, we all know what it's like when we've assigned our children something that they don't understand, they have absolutely no confidence in, and they cannot do perfect execution. That just gives us a whole lot of headache and a whole lot of endless friction in our homeschooling hours that just drag on and drag on. Now, that leads me perfectly into number two, the second mistake that we homeschool moms tend to do when we're planning, and it's requiring too much during a lesson. We want to give them all the good things that we found out at these homeschool curriculum fairs and these conventions that we've been going through, and these magazines and online sites that sell curriculum. We want to give them it all, and we get so excited about the possibilities of this coming year and all the selections out there, that we try to cram too much into a lesson, and therefore a subject is too bulky for any of your children. Now, this is why I want you to do this instead. I want you to plan for short lessons to keep the brain from growing fatigued. Now, if you know that your children is confident in something, and you know your children can give you perfect execution, then I want you to know what your children's attention span is. Because whenever we're learning anything new, whenever we're learning anything difficult, our brain has yet to learn this information, and it requires a very fatiguing aspect of the mind for that information to be accepted and retained. So what I want you to recognize is these short lessons is for to keep the brain awake, aware, and learning rather than fatigued. And Charlotte Mason calls it stupid, the fact that our brain can no longer accept that information. It's too fatigued, it's too tired, and it grows stupid. And if you've ever had a child who has sit and looked at their sums and they're like, I don't know what 2 plus 1 is. I kid you not, I had a child that I allowed to get that fatigued that they knew what 2 plus 1 was, but their brain was incapable of giving me the answer because I wore the brain out too much. Now, I want you to recognize your brain is a muscle. And we wouldn't require children to go out and run a mile without first learning how to run an eighth of a mile or a 16th of a mile and working it up to be able to do that full mile. Well, we're coming into homeschooling, we're requiring a mile out of children every single day with every single lesson. We cannot do that. The brain is only capable of so much before it gets to the point of being fatigued, just like our muscles in our bodies get fatigued. We know that when we put a pencil in a child's hand, it tires the muscles in the hands, and therefore we don't give them too much at first until those muscles are exercised and working up to be capable of the assignment. Our brains are no different. We need to recognize them, the brain of what it is. It's a muscle, and it must, in fact, learn through a slow and voluntary process. All right, so that leads me to number 3 is that we're planning as we go or just a little bit in advance. Now, y'all, I've done this before too. I have literally only planned the morning of before to see how the days go. I have even just decided to journal what we got in. Well, let me tell you, that is not living with purpose or intentions. And it's not living with the end in view, meaning that why are you homeschooling in the first place, mamas? What is the purpose of you saying, I'm going to take on all this additional work? Because, life demands of just being a wife and a mother isn't enough. We're going to take on this life demand of now being responsible for our children's education, and not just one child, but multiple children, while still raising young ones. We're going through the budding head phases of our children's preteens and teen years, and we're just going to keep piling all this stuff onto us. And so we decide, because through our emotions, we're just going to go by the seat of the pants. No, 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 no. That is the biggest mistake you can make. You have a purpose in why you're homeschooling. Am I wrong? Do you have a purpose in why you homeschool? In that purpose, what is what you want to see your children to grow up as? When we're growing a garden and we're digging and putting the seeds inside it, do we not say that these seeds are going to become cucumbers one day? Do we not say these seeds are going to become tomatoes, and these seeds are going to become lettuce, and these are going to become spinach, and these are going to become squash and zucchini? Do we not label out and plan exactly where we need these things in our garden? Do we not become intentional about making sure it's getting the right sun or not too much sun based on the needs of that seed to be able to grow and grow to fruitful purpose? Yes, we're very intentional about that. But yet we come into homeschooling thinking that it's enough to just go by the seat of our pants. It isn't. And I'm going to tell you why. We must have this intention of knowing where we want our children to go. We start with where they're confident. We start with what we know that they know, and they know how to do it with confidence, and they know how to do it with perfect execution. And then we look and say, okay, this is where I want to take them. And I want to take them there intentionally by step by step by step in each of the subjects. So that's what I want you to do instead. I want you to plan with intentions for the entire year that equips you to be consistent, and your children are able to then only then are they going to be able to take the ownership of their education by us being intentional. Now, let me ask you, have you ever taken a road trip without a map and without the step-by-step directions of a place you've never been before? No, we've never done that. We've always planned ahead. We've actually looked and said, okay, here's our direction. And yes, GPS makes it very, very easy for us, does it not? And it does, we all have to do is put in the address and it tells us exactly where we're wanting to go. That's what I want you to look at planning. I want you to look at it as the GPS to where your children know where they're going to go. It's only then and only in that way that the children can become responsible, and not just responsible for their education, but the task within that subject, within those education. Now, when I started to plan this way, I had absolutely no plans in my mind, any intentions that my children were going to go ahead and take control of their education. I actually had a new baby coming in the summer. And if you've ever heard me talk before, you know that I spent the entire summer planning two elementary grades, two. And I literally took the entire summer. Well, our third child was expecting towards the end of June, and that was going to ruin my entire way of how I planned homeschooling. That showed me that it worked best when I became intentional and knew exactly what we were going to do and had it all laid out. And I thought, you know what? I can't go by the seat of my pants anymore. I cannot journal what we've done because I have raised a baby before. And I'm well aware babies throw curveballs and quite a few of them. And so I can't go by the seat of my pants. I had to be very intentional about what it was that I wanted to do for my children. If I was truly going to homeschool with my root purpose of why I was homeschooling, with that end in mind of who they were going to become as an adult. I had to label every day, every hour of what it was that I wanted them to become. I had to make sure I gave them the right sunshine or shade in some areas. And then I had to make sure that I kept the weeds out. I had to make sure that I was tending my children just like I would tend a garden. And let me tell you, I can raise children far better than I can raise a garden. So I'm telling you, we have to have that same intention as a gardener. We have to know what it is our purpose is, what we're trying to raise. We have to understand how we have to get them there. And that comes only by intentional planning. So this summer, when I was like, okay, I have a baby coming, I have to really create this framework, so to speak, of being able to know how to plan for each subject and get it lined up so that even if my baby is needing me in the moment, I can look at my plans and know exactly what our purpose was for this day. Well, next thing you know, I planned a certain way. And this was 20 years ago because our third child's now 20, 20 years ago. And when I gave all this written out, I gave the time and attention to get it all ready. What I found was that when my baby was having mommy time, nursing or changing a diaper, or just needing me a little extra, that my reader took my plans and just said, let me do this. I can do this. I know what I'm supposed to do. And she wanted to hurry up and get her schoolwork done because she had things that she wanted to do. And she recognized that mom has it all laid out. And all I had to do is see that next thing, and I can do it. I know how to do this. I'm reading on my own. I'm motivated. I want that free time. And I began to see her taking my plans and turning them into her own ownership. And she never gave me the plans back. And at first, it was like that little stinker. And then I realized, wait, that's amazing because she's now getting up at 6:30 in the morning. This mama wasn't, because this mama had a newborn in the middle of the night. And she would get up and she would begin to do her schoolwork at 6:30 in the morning because she had a project outside. She wanted more hours in the daylight to be able to get done. Well, then my second child would wake up around 8, 8:30 and see that she's almost done with her schoolwork already. And that mom's saying it was done with perfect execution and she did all the things. So once she got chores done, she was pretty much done with the day requirements by 9 in the morning, giving her all kinds of outdoor time for this project they were working on. Needless to say, that created a little strife going on because one child didn't wake up that early. Guess what the second child did the next morning? You betcha, they got up early and they worked through and they knew what was expected of them and they were doing it all without me. And there was some time that, my child who was dyslexic wasn't able to read all of the requirements, but he knew what he could do without me. Like he was like, I can do this independently with perfect execution and make mom proud. I'm going to go ahead and get these things done. And then as soon as mom's ready to start with me, I can quickly get through the other things. So let me show you really quick what it was that I did that made all the difference to what it was that I planned with intention. I call it the grade notebook. You can go look at it at gradenotebooks.com. And right now I'm having a sale through August 31st, $10 off a grade notebook. And I'm telling you, these grade notebooks are influential ones, inspiring ideas with our children. We have 3 different designs this year. We have limited quantity. So once they're done, once they're gone, we're not going to be launching anymore until next spring. So you're going to want to grab these while the sale is on. I don't think we have I think we have like 65, 70 for each one. I don't know. I don't keep track too much of this. So you don't want to wait too long for this. But go to gradenotebooks.com and it comes, and oh, stink. I totally failed on this one. Oh my, I meant to have them in front of me and they're upstairs. So come next week and I will show them to you, but you'll have pictures and on there. And I also did one a couple weeks back, maybe a month back of one. I kind of walked through it with a video. So you can look through my Facebook page. Epic fail today. So sorry about that. But what I want you to know is they're all done for you. So even if you don't know what a Charlotte Mason homeschooling assignments look like, there's guided quotes on every subject that will tell you exactly what Charlotte Mason says that child should be learning at that age with those skills, and helping you plan out with intentions for the ration of knowledge that she suggests. It takes the complete overwhelm out of the way and it shows you what to plan and just dropping your plans in there so that you are really the best wholesome influencer with your children by giving them the wholesome ideas that they require. Now, this whole bundle has influential dividers and it comes with bookmarks because, we all love bookmarks and they're absolutely beautiful. I displayed them at Teach Them Diligently conferences and I had so many people just come up and say, I just need to tell you, I think these are the beautifulest things I have ever seen. And they are so sturdy and the purpose is unbelievable. And it's just to equip you to be that intentional planner so that your children can progress every school year, but also take ownership of their education. So when we're planning with intentions, when we're laying out the entire school year, I want you to know that your children will, in fact, be to this point where they're going to take ownership of it as long as they're reading. But in the case of my son, who wasn't quite reading well yet, he knew what was expected of him because he watched me cross these things out during his school time. And he knew these things mom had me do independently because I have the ability to do them independently and I do them well. So I'm going to go ahead and do his things were like math and memory work and copy work. So he was able to do those things completely on his own, where anything that required mom, like reading, he was waiting for me to do. So if you want your children to have the ownership of their education, if you want this to be your best year ever, I want you to go ahead and grab a grade notebook for each of your children. So get them while they're here. Go to gradenotebooks.com and enter the code PROGRESS, PROGRESS, until August 31st to get $10 off each one. Now, come back next week. I'm going to show you these things, and I had all intentions today to do it, and I forgot. If I can be completely honest, I took a 25-minute bath. My body has been hurting me and I needed that bath. And making that decision, I forgot I had something else to do. So forgive me for failing there and being human and needing that calming influence to my heart, that bath I took. And I took it with excitement. So I'm not going to regret that. But come back next week. Not only will I be showing you the grade notebook and walking through it, answering any of your questions, I'm also going to be talking to you about the benefits of planning an entire homeschool year, because this is something I've heard time and time again. Mamas have all the reasons why she can't, or she believes she can't, plan an entire homeschool year. And let me tell you, I've been there, I've done it. And I can tell you, if you want the best homeschool year, the best progress, the best productive year, you will understand why there's so much benefit in planning this way. So join me next week. If you have any questions, I'll answer them really quickly. I want to say hello to Devin. Hi, I am excited for this topic too. And you're more than welcome for the wisdom that I share. Thankfully, I have wisdom after 22 years of homeschooling. I'm glad you guys see that my experience, my successes and failures are all something that you can learn from, because that is important. Now, I am very excited about equipping you in what it is that you do so that you can hit the ground running and make it all matter for your family, because what we do does matter. But the fact of the matter is, we make it much harder than it needs to be. And so, these frameworks, these systems are things that will help you get these things done and quickly getting moving towards that desired result that you want in your homeschooling. Bobby says, what's the difference between the gray notebook and a planner? So the gray notebook consists of a planner inside it, the Charlotte Mason planner packs. And the difference between the two is they are both planning, but this is a complete system in the fact that it tells you what you should be planning at each age and for each skill. So Charlotte Mason has 5 forms: Form 1A, Form 1B, Form 2, Form 3 and 4, and Form 5 and 6. Form 3 and 4 are for middle school, and Forms 5 and 6 are for high school. This is how I have done it for our homeschooling for 20 years. I have tried, tested, and perfected this planning system. So it's not just you dropping your things in, it's letting you have these guided posts of knowing what you should be giving them at each age for each skill, and to be able to know how much to give to them. Your planners do not tell you this. So the grading notebook tells all of these things, the timetables of how long your lesson should be for each age. It tells you exactly what subjects you should be introducing to your children in what grades. And it takes all the guesswork out if you're trying to become a Charlotte Mason homeschooler and you're trying to give them wholesome ideas. So it takes all of that out, where a planner, you do all of that work. You decide all of those things and you put them in. And usually planners tend to be mom related, where the grade notebooks is 100% designed for the children to take ownership as soon as they're reading. And your motivated children will want to start checking off even if they can't read. That's been my example for all of them. And the difference really in the end is that the grade notebook becomes a beautiful portfolio, because behind every tab you put the completed work. So it's a grade notebook because it's a planner and a portfolio in one. And it's beautiful. And if you show that to anyone who has to look at a portfolio to see what work is done, they'll never double guess your efforts and the results that you're seeing, because it's all in there and it's all put together beautifully. Andrea, thank you for saying that, because yes, I needed a calm today. My body has been aching me and I just needed it to so I could show it for y'all today. Um, are the forms editable? They are printed, so they are not edible. They are 100% printing packs, so you will get them shipped to your home. I do not offer the PDFs. I have had that question, but right now I am only offering the printed ones. And so you can go ahead and do that. I do ship across the world. If you ordered $100, you get free shipping in the US. And so anywhere in the world does get them. And they're really intentionally created. So the back, I'm so disappointed with myself, but the back of every folder, every divider has a place for you to journal, or your children to journal ideas of interest. So I have prompts there that will help you ask them questions to say, what about history inspires you? And that way, while they're going through and they're seeing new ideas, you or they can journal in there to help you for next year. And this is how I have done homeschooling for 20 years. And like I said, it wasn't that way at the beginning. I have just definitely perfected this system to make it where you can pick that up and really go through it. And even for your first time, I would suspect that you could get a full year planned in 8 to 12 hours with how it's laid out. The second time that you do it, you should you should significantly decrease your time of putting in. I take about 4 hours for elementary and 8 hours for high school because it's a little more topics to plan. There's a lot more books. And so it guides you and totally helps you to understand what you should be doing, how you should be doing it, and getting it put together so your children have their SOPs. And if you hear me talk about SOPs, it's the standard operating procedure for their homeschooling. Another thing that makes it so unique to anything out there is I created what I call the focus days. Charlotte Mason tells us that we should be giving our children single valuable ideas every day, and that a morning without an idea supplied is a morning wasted, no matter how close the child goes to their schoolwork and gives that full attention. The whole purpose in education is those influential ideas. And we need to make sure that our children do that. And if we're jumping from one subject to the next subject to the next subject, the children are not going to have those ideas happening. So that's how I created the focus days. And the focus days give you subjects in which to supply to your children on a daily basis. And I have that all laid out for you. So it really is not a normal planner. This is why I call it the most comprehensive planning system out there. And it just gives you the confidence and the ability to get your year planned and planned well. Now, join me next week while I talk about the benefits of doing your whole year, and make sure you grab your grade notebooks before they're gone. There's limited supplies, and once they're gone, they're gone. We will not have any more until next spring. And so you want to grab it at gradenotebooks.com and use the code PROGRESS, PROGRESS, at checkout through August 31st to get $10 off each grade notebook. All right. I look forward to next week, and thank you for joining, and thank you for your questions, and be joining me next week. I will make sure I have those grade notebooks in hand to show you each of the ones and how they're different. Until then, I'll talk to you next time. Bye for now.